Leeds United have done a hell of a lot of solid business so far this transfer window. First up, we ended up signing Harry Wilson, a target from last season. Got him on a free, admittedly fairly big wages, but he's a very, very good player and will ultimately perform well for Leeds United going into the future. Followed up with the loss of Pascal Struijk, but very quickly replaced by Tarik Muharemovic, who has proven himself not only defensively, but by scoring overhead kicks in friendlies. And then, third up, we managed to sign Nico Elvedi, who is a player that we have been hunting for a while, and that was after James Trafford, who is our new record transfer and one of the best goalkeepers in the league. But in addition to all of that, Leeds United still have some unfinished business, and according to documents that came out last season, a fairly substantial war chest to get those moves done. So, in this video I'm going to talk through what those sort of positions are, the players we might be looking for in those positions, and just how much money we've got to throw at them, and ultimately get an idea of where we're going to be at the end of the transfer window. So, first up, in terms of what we've done, we've got a winger done. We knew that we need that, well, a winger /10, Harry Wilson, regardless. 2 centre-backs, Elvedi, Muharemovic, and a goalkeeper in James Trafford. We have spent somewhere between 80 and 82 million pounds, I think, depending on what source you're using. That is roughly the set of numbers that we are looking at so far as a club. In the pitch decks that went out last season to potential investors, it stated that the first season we'd have about £100 million to spend, and that's roughly what we spent. So I'm going to follow those forecasts, and the second season in that forecast said that Leeds United would have about £120 million to spend. Now, 120 minus that 80 to 82, Leeds United have somewhere between 35 and 40 million pounds left to spend. Admittedly, it could be less than that. We know the shift to SCR rather than PSR has potentially rejigged things, but you can have the odd season where you spend more than the 85% that is listed, I believe. I can't remember the sort of specific margin by which you're allowed an overspend, but you're able to do that, and I believe that the club won't have massively changed the budget too much because transfer markets take a lot of time to plan, especially when you are doing it so well as Leeds United are at the minute. And with some fairly key positions having been filled, you might question what exactly is left to come. And I've identified 3 different spots that Leeds are going to be looking at. And the first of those is probably the cheapest, I would argue. Sub £1 million would be my guess for this sort of player, and it is specifically a goalkeeper. Second choice goalkeeper, and you can already see the sort of format of goalkeeper that Leeds United are going to be looking at signing. It is going to be an older English goalkeeper that is able to fill the homegrown quota, occasionally fill in for a cup match or two, perform to a reasonable standard, but not expect to be playing any first team football, not be on too much of a wage, just sort of be happy enough being around a Premier League squad for the season. Makes a lot of sense, a little bit of a pre-retirement contract to see them through. Alex Cairns, but a little bit better. One of the names I've seen bandied about is someone like a Jason Steele, which again would make a hell of a lot of sense for Leeds United to do. He was with the England squad at the World Cup, for example, as a sort of just in case one of their goalkeepers got injured, because you're allowed to swap out goalkeepers partway through the tournament. But that sort of goalkeeper is the thing that makes sense, and in terms of cost, you'd expect it to be average wage at best for a Premier League player, and in terms of a fee, sub £1 million. That one I've just gotten out of the way because you kind of need to. It's one of those where if I don't mention it, everyone's going to be like, but Joe, what about a goalkeeper? It's fine. I've considered the goalkeeper. It's taken very little off the budget. The first position that will really take a fairly sizable chunk off the budget is the backup left back. I say backup left back, but it's not quite necessarily a backup. Ideally, you are looking at someone that is sort of an understudy to Gabby Goodmanson, someone that can maybe challenge him for a starting place, but let's be honest, Gabby is not going to be a very easy player to move out of his role. Gabby has been, frankly, excellent every single time we've seen him. Issue is, he's just got a little bit of an injury at the moment, and that is an injury that could last a fairly long time, which means he's going to miss the start of the season. Personally, I think it's going to be James Justin playing out on the left-hand side, but the slight issue there is he is right-footed. Farke doesn't really like that. He likes his wing-backs and his centre-backs to match foot to the side of the pitch, which is something that I imagine we will be doing for the majority of the season, but that would require a backup left-back. And I've heard a little bit of word around us potentially looking at some players. There is a list, apparently. I've not heard the specific names on it, and I'll be honest, I don't want to wade into this whole bit of conversation because last time I did try and name a left back when there weren't a lot of names publicly in the ether. It backfired, isn't that right? Kostas Tsimikas. But in terms of the amount that I would expect us to spend, it'd fall in the sort of £10 to £15 million category, roughly what we spent on players last season, because, well, it's a rotational thing. It's not we are signing you to start games of football. Starters, we are clearly investing significantly more in this season. Not necessarily the case when it comes to players that are either backups or rotational, or I personally don't see anyone coming in to specifically combat Gabby for that place, but if that happens, I won't mind at all because that just pushes the level a little bit higher. In terms of pushing the level a little bit higher, we do have the third role that I imagine Leeds are going to be looking at in terms of unfinished business. And there have been various rumours flying around all over the shop around what Leeds are going to do here. And it is the striker / number 10 / creator role. That's where you're going to get the big ticket item. That's where we're potentially going to throw some fairly hefty wages, going to throw the rest of that budget, so I don't know, £25-30 million, depending on what we spend on the other ones. And it is ideally going to be the sort of player that is young, that is hungry, that is going to be initially competing with DCL for minutes, but in the long run, you want to see them develop and you want to see them ultimately take that role away. One of the players that I had specifically in mind for this, if I can get an idea of the guy, is someone along the lines of a Nicola Tresoldi, who is a German centre-forward, plays in Belgium at the moment. He's a very, very good centre-forward that has a lot of very, very, very good links, but is someone that you can see the potential of, you can see the future of, and if he's able to get there and be dragged there by a club in the Premier League that have a decent set of centre-forwards already as a mentor, because Metcha's not bad, DCL's not bad, they can do a fairly decent job, then it's not only a case of he will improve the club, but he'll also improve the club's finances, because in the long run, a lot of these players aren't going to stick around. But young, upcoming, promising is ultimately what I'm sort of looking for, and one of the other things that I think Leeds United really, really need, and could fit into this 10 striker sort of category. Tresoldi's less of a 10, I'll admit that, but he fits the number 9 kind of role. But one of the things that I said the other day to someone that Leeds United are missing that I would really like us to sign this window is someone to suit the role of the mad bastard. And that is a weird way of phrasing it, but essentially someone that you put on the pitch, like think of Rafinha or Georgie when we had those players, where you can just put them on the pitch and there will be at least once per game where you see them do something and you have to ask these questions. 1, what did you just do? 2, why did you just do that? 3, how the hell did it work? One of those players that will just try things and it will happen to work, and every single time you are stumped, but every single time you are similarly amazed because that isn't meant to work in the way that that works, and it did, and it's fantastic. And that is that little bit of a spark that I think that we could do with. We have a solid Premier League squad, do not get me wrong for one moment here. We have a squad already that I think keeps us safe and potentially pushes for a mid-table finish. But something with that spark, I think, could be that little bit of magic that pushes us to the next level, and that would be wonderful to see for Leeds United. And those are the roles that I think we need. Someone that is a creator / striker that is the most expensive of the items, a goalkeeper that will sort of cover for things, and a left back that is initially backup but might be able to challenge Gabby Goodmanson. But that's just what I think. As always, let me know what you're thinking in the comments down below. I'm very, very curious as to what the sort of targets are amongst the fans at the moment. Like the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe as well, that'd be quite nice. Drop a comment, that'd be cool as well. Hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you later. Doodaloo.